Two breaking stories just sent shockwaves through Pittsburgh. The first hits the team's core. Mike Tomlin, once untouchable, is now facing criticism, even from his longtime loyalists. The second, a potential under-the-radar move that could reshape the Steelers' offense. And no, it's not about a superstar. These are the latest and most urgent updates from the franchise, and you need to hear them. If you're a true fan, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any Steelers news. Let's get into it. Mike Tomlin has been the model of regular season consistency for nearly 2 decades, never a losing season in 18 years. That's wild. But in Pittsburgh, that kind of stability only gets you so far. The fan base, which used to worship at the altar of Tomlin time, is starting to grumble. And it ain't just because of the lack of hardware since 2008. The postseason drought, 0 playoff wins since 2016, is starting to make folks wonder if being always in the mix is actually enough anymore. One of Tomlin's longtime ride-or-die supporters, Ryan Clark, former Steelers safety-turned-straight-shooter analyst, has been waving the black and gold flag for years, praising the man for maintaining relevance in the chaos of QB changes and injuries. But this offseason, even Clark's tone has shifted. Appearing on the Green Light podcast with Chris Long, he pointed the finger at what he thinks is holding Pittsburgh back: Tomlin's loyalty. Not just to players, but to coaches who maybe haven't earned it. Clark broke it down, saying Tomlin has a blind spot when it comes to shaking things up. He keeps guys around even when it's clear the team needs a jolt. And when the conversation turned to coordinators, things got real. Clark admitted the best 2 coordinators during Tomlin's run, Bruce Arians and Dick LeBeau, weren't even his hires. They were leftovers from the previous regime, Cowher's guys. Basically, Tomlin inherited excellence, but hasn't been able to replicate it on his own. Chris Long chimed in, calling it out bluntly. Since Arians and LeBeau left, Tomlin's picks for OC and DC haven't exactly crushed it. And Clark agreed. That stings a little, especially when you consider that Tomlin doesn't call plays himself. So the people he surrounds himself with really matter. And according to Clark, the replacements just haven't lived up to the standard. No one's elevated the unit or dominated in crunch time. The Steelers are still stable, still competitive, but for a franchise that hangs banners, just being in the hunt every December doesn't cut it. And Clark made it clear. Great coaches are defined by who they bring in, who they develop. In that department, Tomlin's resume is missing some key W's. The spotlight now shifts to guys like Terrell Austin, the current defensive coordinator. He's running a unit packed with talent and fat contracts, yet when the moment comes, they're not making the plays. Fans are starting to ask the hard questions. Is Austin the guy? And if not, why is he still here? It all loops back to Tomlin. The head coach with the golden reputation now finds himself in a familiar but uncomfortable spot, having to prove that loyalty isn't coming at the cost of progress. And if you thought that was big, the next update just dropped and could totally shake up the Steelers' offense. Yep, it's all about Jauan Jennings. So the Steelers just might have stumbled into a wide receiver situation that's begging for Omar Khan to work his magic again. After flipping George Pickens following the surprise splash trade for DK Metcalf, the WR room in Pittsburgh suddenly felt a little uneven. Sure, Metcalf's a beast, but losing Pickens left a noticeable gap in the squad's depth and toughness. Enter Jauan Jennings, who's basically waving his arms and yelling, "Hey, I might be available!" According to Adam Schefter, Jennings is fed up with how things are going in San Francisco. The dude balled out last season, nearly 1,000 yards, 77 grabs, and 6 touchdowns. But apparently that breakout campaign didn't earn him the kind of love or cash he was hoping for. Now he's hinting at a trade request if the 49ers don't step up with a better contract by the time camp kicks off next week. And if that happens, boom, Pittsburgh might just be the ideal landing spot. Jennings fits the Steelers' mold to a T. Physical, dependable, and maybe the best blocking receiver in the game. He doesn't shy away from contact and does all the dirty work that gets overlooked. He'd bring grit to a WR group that already has a flashy WR1 in Metcalf and a speedster in Calvin Austin III. Toss in Rook Roman Wilson and veteran Robert Woods, and suddenly that wideout room starts to look a lot more legit. Financially, it's doable too. Jennings is only counting a little over $4. $2 million against the cap this year, last season of his deal, and even though he's not thrilled about it, he's not planning a holdout either. The 49ers feel like they were fair when they gave him a 2-year extension before 2024, but now that he's shown what he can really do, Jennings wants that pay bump. And he's not wrong. We've seen this movie before, and the Steelers know how to play this game. Just look at the Jonnu Smith situation. Pittsburgh stepped in when Miami didn't want to pay up, worked out a creative deal, and walked away with a difference maker at tight end. They could absolutely use that same playbook with Jennings. He wouldn't cost much in draft capital, and there's a solid chance he'd sign a reasonable extension once in town. Bottom line, if Jauan Jennings officially hits the trade block, the Steelers need to be first in line. It's the kind of gritty, under-the-radar move that could be the difference between in the hunt and a real postseason push. Let's see if Khan's got another ace up his sleeve. Tomlin has to prove he can still make tough calls, and Omar Khan might save the season with one smart move. Steelers fans want action, not talk. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next.